How do you become a screenwriter? The path is not as clear as you might think, and while there are some commonalities, the trajectory of everyone's path to becoming a screenwriter can vary wildly. It depends on so many factors, the big one, of course, being your skill as a screenwriter. But there are other factors that you can control, and I'll mention those in a bit. And yes, there are, unfortunately, some you can't control. But if you focus on the things that you can control, it will begin to position you so you can take advantage of the opportunities when they come your way. So what I'm going to do is lay out a trajectory, and you can see where you're at currently, and then start working toward the next thing in the trajectory. So figure out where you're at, drop it in the comments once you know, and then begin working toward the next waypoint. And let me say right at the beginning that everyone who wants to be a screenwriter can become one, given enough time and skill. But how much success you find along the way begins with you becoming proficient as a screenwriter. So it's not about checking the boxes here in this list. It's about maximizing what you're learning along the way. And just to be clear, so we're all on the same page, a screenwriter is someone who makes money from the craft of writing a screenplay. If someone has paid you, you're a screenwriter. Now, you may not be successful yet, or at least as successful as you want to be, but let me tell you a solid trajectory that will get you there. One of the things I've always wanted to do on this channel is to not blow smoke, and sometimes that means saying things a bit harshly, even though I really try to be encouraging and to help motivate you to become better and to tell stories that matter. And again, there's a lot of paths to becoming a screenwriter, but I love being efficient. And what I'm going to walk through with you is the most efficient way you can do this on your own or with limited help. But the videos I make, the resources I have linked below, are things I wish I had when I was starting. I wish someone had told me what I'm about to walk through for you, and I hope that it's helpful. The first waypoint, passion or deep interest in the craft. And most people start writing because they love films and TV and they like writing and they just get into it. And the other main group of people who find writing are those who want to make films themselves, but they need a script, and so they start trying to figure out how to write and realize that they actually like it. And if you don't have passion for screenwriting, if you aren't interested in it, you're not going to find success. You probably know that, but I'm just being clear. One way I know this is that writers who decide they just want to skip around and do all the fun parts of the process, but they never want to do the hard work, they have trouble. The hard work is what makes you good. The fun parts are fun, but if you never actually finish anything, have you really done it in the first place? And a lot of people skip around through the fun times, and then when things get too hard, they quit. Because it's too hard, or too slow, or too whatever. And people who are passionate and interested in the craft of screenwriting, they push through. And honestly, my unscientific research tells me that about 70% of people who say they want to write a screenplay never get past this step. They never move into any place of learning the craft, which is the second way station. Because aspiring screenwriters at this stage start reading everything they can. They read books, they read any script they can find, they listen to podcasts, they watch YouTube videos, they decide to chime in on social media about what good resources are and what the bad ones are, and this is before they even really know what is good and helpful and what isn't, and that's fine, that's okay. They're trying to participate in the community of screenwriters and in the conversations. And more than that, they are reading and learning. And you have to learn about the craft. You've got to learn about some of the mechanics like format. You've got to learn about software. You've got to learn the terminology. You've got to learn about structure and how stories work. You've got to learn about how stories work in the medium of film and the medium of TV, and those are different. You've got to learn about how films are made, how the business works, how to figure out a solid idea and write characters and scenes and dialogue and action, and it's a lot. But if you have two people starting at the same time, and one of them just wants to figure it out on their own, while the other one seeks out a mentor or coach to help teach the fundamentals and to explain what is and isn't needed and why, the person with the coach moves exponentially faster than the one without. Will both of them get to where they want to go? Yes, but for one, it's going to take a lot longer. And the main reason is the one who has a coach or a mentor has more opportunities to practice the craft. And this is where you're writing to just figure it out. How does it work? Can you actually write a scene? How does your dialogue sound? Can you put scenes together? Do you have a story? And you can only learn this by practicing, by writing pieces for specific purposes. A little scene here, a few scenes there, Practice applying what you're learning in small pieces. Those of you who have played sports or music know this from experience. You don't start off playing in the big game or playing Mozart at Carnegie Hall. You start off playing something simple and doing drills. A little piece of practice here, more practice there, and eventually you begin to have the skills to apply them to something bigger. And that's where you have to write a screenplay. And more importantly, finish a script. And this is a stage that many aspiring writers don't get to. And I'm choosing my words carefully here because I did not say get to the end of a script. I said finish a script. That means you've gotten to the end, you've revised it, you've worked on it, and you're putting it down and moving on to something else. That's finished. I did not say it had to be good. In fact, it's probably not going to be good. And that's okay. Because what you're still learning at this point and practicing at this point is not so much how to write a screenplay, but you are having to figure out your process for writing a screenplay. And every screenwriter is different. Everyone works different. All professionals, except for a few who are just amazingly talented, all professionals plan their script. They plan their story. Now, how they plan varies from writer to writer, but all of them plan. And then they write. And if you want some comparison, most professional writers go through 3 to 4 drafts per script. It depends on how detailed their outline is and a bunch of other things along the way, including their own skill and proficiency in different areas of screenwriting, but that's pretty much the norm. And they have written several scripts and begun to hone their process of writing to the point that they can write efficiently and even predict pretty much to the day when they will be finished with a script. And when you're starting out, your first hurdle is finishing a script. And give yourself permission to know the script doesn't have to be good. It has to be finished. And now you've got a bunch of groundwork. So now it's time to really start building your foundation. And so you're going to start working on honing the process of writing a script. And that means you're going to write more scripts. The type of scripts and how many depends on you. How skilled of a writer are you? Have you written and finished other things? Or is screenwriting your first foray into professional writing? And what happens as you hone the process by writing more scripts? You're also honing your skills as a screenwriter. You're learning how to apply all the tools you have at your disposal, and you get to the point where you're writing confidently and maybe even taking some risks and experimenting a bit with your voice and your style and your process. And now that the foundation is there for what you have to be good at, the skills of screenwriting and the process of how to write a screenplay, now it's time to start trying to play in the big leagues. And now you need to finish another script, but this one needs to be marketable. And this is where your mindset starts to shift away from writing only what you want to write to writing something that is marketable, that is still related to why you wanted to tell stories in the first place. And this is a hard hurdle to overcome because you have to start thinking about titles and log lines and how might someone react to just hearing the idea of a script you want to write long before you even try to figure out any of the characters or even what all happens in the plot. If you want to work in Hollywood, this mindset shift is inevitable. It's required. Filmmaking is a business, and you have to begin thinking about the business side of things. And this is where we lose a bunch of more aspiring writers because it limits my creativity. Well, no, it doesn't. It forces you to become more creative, to work within the systems that are there. And it's fine if you don't want to play. That's fine. There's a path for you. It's called independent film. You go, you raise the money, you shoot the script yourself, and prove everyone else wrong. But if you're wanting to write for studios, you have to be able to write a marketable script. But it doesn't stop there, because now you have to write another marketable script. If you manage to get a meeting off your first script, which is great, you're going to be asked 2 questions by pretty much every producer, agent, manager, whoever. 1, why do you write? Which is a callback to your passion and interest in screenwriting. What's something that about your writing that only you can write? That's the first thing they're looking for. The second, what else do you have? And if you have nothing, you aren't a professional. You're still an aspiring screenwriter. You have to have more than one script, one marketable script in your pocket. Can you start trying to market that first script and sell it or get hired for a rewrite or writing assignment, something like that, which is much more likely? Well, yeah, of course you can. But while you're doing that, you need to be working on another marketable script. And if your intuition is working at all, you'll quickly realize the next phase of you being a screenwriter doesn't have much to do with writing. It has to do with you learning the business and navigating that. So if you're still needing to learn the skills and the fundamentals and the tools of screenwriting, those first kind of waypoints we talked about, that's what my fast track course is all about. If you're working on the process and wanting to hone your process and you want my help as a coach, that's what the Navigator is for, to help you find the best ways for you to navigate the process of writing a script. And yes, if you learn the tools and hone the process and you like all the work, becoming a screenwriter is within grasp. It's kind of inevitable, but you have to go through these steps, ideally in the order I've laid out here, because that's going to be more efficient. But then you have to realize that there's more than just having a few marketable scripts in your pocket if you want to find success as a screenwriter. In fact, while I wish that doing these things alone will grant you success, I need you to understand that being a solid writer is the foundation for success. It's a foundation you must have. But there are other factors to finding success as a screenwriter that actually have nothing to do with writing. And I talk about some of those right here. Thank you for watching. Fun buttons and links below, including the Fast Track, the Navigator, and even my script consulting service, if that would help you. And when you tell a story that matters. See you later.